All right, welcome to 2.8. Today we're going to be looking at, in this video, at finding the relationship between two lines using their slope. So we're going to pick up with objective 2.8, number 2. All right, so the key concept we were developing in our labs is that lines that are parallel have the same slope. They have the same slope. Okay. Lines that are parallel have the same slope. And if we divide, because of that, if we divide their slopes, so the first slope divided by the second slope is always going to equal 1. Now, vertical lines have undefined slopes, but all vertical lines are parallel. So if we know that two lines have undefined slopes, they are both vertical, so they are parallel. So those are our parallel lines. We also found, or we're going to find, that perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So, for instance, if my first slope, for example, were 1/2, then my second slope was negative, that's the opposite sign, so if this was positive, this is negative, 2, the reciprocal of 1/2. Or, as another example, if my first slope were negative 3/5, then my second slope would be the opposite sign, positive, reciprocal, 5/3. Okay? And then all vertical lines are perpendicular to all horizontal lines. So if I am given a vertical line and I'm asked, what is the slope of the line perpendicular to it? Well, perpendicular to a vertical line is a horizontal line, and horizontal lines have a slope of 0. Okay? Similarly, if I'm asked, what's the slope of the line perpendicular to a horizontal, that would be vertical, and that is a slope that is undefined. Okay, so if we find, when comparing two slopes, that the slopes are not the same, they're not exactly the same, and they're not opposite reciprocals, then the lines are intersecting. So there are a few examples here, and they'll often throw some little tricks at you. But a first good example is just if I had 1/2 and 3. Okay, these are clearly not the same. They're clearly not opposite reciprocals. But usually what they'll give you is a slope of 2 and a slope of -2. Well, these are opposites, but they're not reciprocals. They have to be opposite and reciprocal. So these are intersecting, not parallel, not perpendicular. Intersecting, not parallel, not perpendicular. If we have a slope of 1/3 and a slope of 3, these are reciprocals, but they're not opposite. So these are intersecting, not parallel or perpendicular. So we're going to start by looking at a few examples here. Our first example gives us some equations, and we can indicate whether our lines are parallel, this is our symbol for parallel, perpendicular, our symbol for perpendicular, or intersecting, INT. We need to identify the slope of each line. So we're going to find the slope of A. We're given an equation. It's in slope-intercept form. The coefficient of x is 3. And the slope of B, this equation is in point-slope form, and the coefficient of our x parentheses is -1/3. So first, are these the same? Are they parallel? Are they the same? No, they're obviously not the same, so they're not parallel. Are they perpendicular? Are they opposite and reciprocal? They are opposite signs, and they are reciprocal. So these are perpendicular because they are opposite and reciprocal. So give that reasoning. Okay. Then we have lines C and D. So let's find the slopes first. The slope of C, tells us it's a slope of 0. But for line D, we have to find the slope through the 2 points. So our slope through 2 points, we'll label this x1, y1, x2, y2. Slope of D is equal to y2, 1, minus y1, 8, over x2, 3, minus x1, 3. Ooh, so I have an x1 and x2 that are the same, which is undefined. This slope of 0 is a horizontal line. This slope of undefined is a vertical line. So are horizontal and vertical lines parallel to each other? No, obviously not. Are they perpendicular to each other? Yes, they're perpendicular because vertical and horizontal are perpendicular. All right. And then our last example, the slope for line E, we're given a slope-intercept form is 2. The slope for line F, we're again given slope-intercept form, so this is my M, is -2. Are these parallel? Are the slopes exactly the same? Are they the same? No. Okay, are they opposite and reciprocal? Are they opposite? Yes. But are they reciprocals? No. So they are not perpendicular. So if they are not parallel and they are not perpendicular, they're intersecting because they're not equal or opposite and reciprocal. This walking through our reasoning why is going to help you do better in the long run. All right, so this question gives us a line. It tells us this line has the equation y equals -1/4 x plus 5 and asks us what would be the slope of the line parallel to this line. Well, first of all, what is the slope of this line? The slope of line G is -1/4 because that's the coefficient of x. So what would be the slope of a parallel? See, I'm using the parallel symbol line. Well, parallel lines are the same, so it's also going to be -1/4. What would be the slope of the perpendicular line? I'm going to use the perpendicular symbol. Well, perpendicular slopes would be opposite. So this was negative. I'm going to make it positive. Reciprocals. So it was 1/4. I'm going to make it 4/1, which simplifies to just 4. And that's finding a slope for a line parallel or perpendicular to a given slope. And that is the end of 2.8.2.